Ephesians 4:26 is a pretty famous verse. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. In this passage, Paul is talking about how we should speak the truth in love to each other to keep us from falling into sin or false teaching. He says, be angry and do not sin. So Paul's giving us permission to be angry. But angry at what? And what kind of anger is he talking about? Well, in the next chapter, this same word will be used to talk about God's wrath against sin. God is calling us to be angry at sin, to not tolerate it, to hate it, both in our lives and the lives of our brothers and sisters. But there's more here. We must not sin in our anger towards sin. You see, God's wrath doesn't spring from wounded pride or a short fuse. It springs from valuing and treasuring goodness and despising evil. It comes from wanting something better than sin for us. But what does that look like? Well, obviously, it looks like the cross of Jesus. God was angry towards sin by punishing it on the cross, but he did so in the most loving, sinless way possible, by taking the punishment that we deserved. And there's one further caution in this passage about our anger. It says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Now, this isn't a literal time constraint, but it's an idiom that communicates the passing of time. Don't stew in your anger is what it means. After all, the word anger here is different than the first one in the original language. The first anger can be a good anger, like the one God has, but this anger carries the idea of being provoked to extreme fury. Don't let your hatred of sin turn into a hatred of a person or into a poison that turns you sour, vindictive, or grudge-holding. We must hate sin because Jesus died to save us from it. That cost is too high, but we must hate it in a loving way, like Jesus did on the cross. Otherwise, we will tear each other down in the very act of trying to build each other up.